Hey guys, so in my paper, I discussed the two identities that I feel that I most closely identify with, which are being second generation Mexican American and a young mother. I consider myself to be Mexican American or second generation Mexican American because my father is from the US and my mother is from Mexico City. So growing up, I feel that I did have a mostly cultural Mexican upbringing, and I consider myself to be a young mother because I currently have an 8-year-old son named Gabriel, and I was 20 years old when I had him. To me, being second generation Mexican American means getting to enjoy the best of both worlds, from food to traditions. I know growing up, my mom always tried to instill Mexican culture in me by teaching me how to cook Mexican dishes, teach me Spanish, but especially from taking me to go to Mexico growing up. I always visited San Miguel de Allende and Mexico City, which is where my family in Mexico lives. We got to go to see a lot of cultural sites like the pyramids, Mexican churches, and just being around my family in general exposed me to a lot of Mexican tradition. Another part of my identity is being a mother, which means the world to me. It means I never have to be alone, that I always have somebody to share my experiences with, from going to try new restaurants to, doing yoga with me to always having a travel buddy. I get to watch him grow while I'm still growing. It means, putting my needs before his. Being Mexican American, there are a lot of stereotypes and discriminations that we face. That we don't speak English right, that we aren't educated, that we have really big families, that we're short, that we're all dark-skinned, that we can only play soccer, that we're all really religious. I can recall a time when I was in San Miguel de Allende. I was like about 12 or 13 years old, and I was talking to my cousin in Spanish, and I heard somebody yell like gringa, and I was like really confused, and I asked my cousin, like, obviously, like, I'm not white, like I have darker skin, and he kind of explained to me that over there they call anyone who kind of speaks Spanish with an accent, they call them gringa or gringo. And to me that was kind of like interesting. And then I know that I felt discriminated. Actually recently, over spring break, I went to Mexico, and when I was at the airport in Mexico, I had asked one of the airlines lady something about my flight, and she responded very rudely to me and to the person also behind me who was also from the US. And then I noticed she started talking differently to the people that were from Mexico, and she was talking to them, more nicely. And I don't know, I just felt like that was kind of like discrimination without being like forward. And being a young mom, there are definitely negative stigmas, such as, being unmotivated and irresponsible. I know that I have gotten a lot of like unsolicited advice from older women, on how I should be raising my son. Some advantages to being a young mom are, wanting to do well academically. I know that my son is like the hugest fan of UTSA. He always wants me to get him like a UTSA hoodie or t-shirt, which makes him like really excited to go to college, which I find, good. There are many different norms and traditions in the Mexican culture that are a lot different from American culture. For example, upon first meeting somebody or greeting someone, it's completely normal just to give them a hug and a kiss on the cheek. And I know growing up, my mom always made me greet everyone whenever we went to a family gathering or a party or wedding. You know, I couldn't just go straight to hanging out with my cousins. I had to make sure that I greeted everyone. Saludar bien, you know, meaning not to forget anyone because it was seen as disrespectful. Mexicans are also very family oriented. They put family before anything, versus in the US, you know, family is kind of valued just as much as work is.